to some more highly questionable nonsense. We do it every day around here. Bomani, what do you like today?
Kevin Durant getting all touchy-feely.
He does that sometimes. Dale, papi.
Do you think part of Bill Belichick wants to win with Julian Edelman at QB tonight?
He calls him Belichick. His accent can make that sort of difficult and feel like an expletive, which is not what he's calling him. Just a cheat, merely a cheat. But the ego of Bill Belichick. He has won with a wide receiver as a defensive back. He wins with tiny white people at the skill positions. And yes, of course, he would love, without Gronk, without Brady, without the backup to Brady, to win with Edelman at quarterback, even though it seems implausible that Edelman would be at quarterback.
I mean, he would love to do that, but let's understand, if he thought that they could really do that, they wouldn't have bothered to take Jacoby Brissett in the first place. Like, Edelman would be the starter tonight. I don't know how this is going to go for them. With J.J. Watt and Clowney on the other side, this is a hell of an assignment for a guy to have for his first start. That being said, are the Patriots playing with house money at this point? Because if you would have told them before that they would be 2-2 coming out of the Brady suspension, I figured they would have been pretty happy. 2-2, and those 2 wins were without Gronk. They're good.
Yeah, they are good. But Bomani, if they did indeed want to do this with the 3rd-string quarterback or the 4th-string quarterback, they wouldn't be pressuring Garoppolo the way they are. The Boston Globe is reporting that even though he can't lift his right arm, they're out there telling him, hey, you know, Brady played with a similar injury.
He can't put on a T-shirt. They try to put him in shoulder pads.
Hey, Belly, you know, even if you win tonight with Edelman, you know, I will not be impressed by that. If you want to impress me, you got to be the QB. If you're the QB and you win, then I'll be really impressed.
He's your dad. Why do you keep looking at me like I brought him here?
What do you make of Cam Newton's comments on the police shooting in Charlotte?
Okay, Cam Newton is in one of those positions where when things are going to happen on matters of race, everyone's going to come asking him. Even though he didn't necessarily ask to be that guy, he is that guy. Everything's going on in Charlotte right now, and that means it's time to come ask questions of the quarterback.
I'm an African American. You know, I am not happy what or how, you know, the justice has been, you know, kind of dealt with over the years, you know, the state of oppression in our community. But we also, as black people, have to do right by ourselves. You know, we can't be hypocrites. My big thing is always holding people accountable. You know, no matter what the race is, no matter what the gender is, no matter what the age is, we all have to hold each other accountable. And that's where we're living in.
All right, on one level, he seems to be a little bit frazzled because think about everything that's going on around Cam. There's pressure for people to try to get him to go one way. It seems his organization is pushing him to push a certain message, given that they had Frank Luntz, GOP operative, to talk to him about how to discuss matters of race. And now everybody's coming to him, and there's no reason to believe in the first place that he's qualified to handle these matters in the first place. What do I think about him? Exactly what he said later in that interview. He can't win here.
It is. It's a no-win position. He doesn't want in the middle of this. We are putting him in the middle of this. So what is he doing? The safest thing possible, which is say everyone needs to be more accountable, because on one side, he will lose black constituency, as he said, for not keeping it real enough. He'll get called a traitor. On the other side, if he takes a stand that's too strong, he's going to lose white people. So what does he do? Everybody do better. It's the best he can do in this situation.
Although, to be clear, the black constituency he's lost has really been for saying things that are fundamentally untrue, like saying that there is no racism, and the scary question of, if your advisors are who they are on these matters, what exactly are you trying to do?
Are you impressed by the NBA and the Players Union outlining a meaningful plan to protest during the upcoming season?
Impressed? They've got a problem on their hands, which is a largely black league. A lot of players are going to the Thibodeaus and the Stan Van Gundys and the guys who have not only coaching power, but positions of power in the organization, and saying, hey, what do we do here? And their coaches don't know what to say. The presidents don't know what to say, don't know how to react to this. You've got a black league that is even blacker than the NFL. Keep in mind, the NFL has a lot of white stars in it. The NBA does not have a lot of white stars, so they've got something approaching that they've got to handle. It's a very progressive league, and this is a start to trying to handle it.
Yeah, but let's break down exactly what's going on here. This is a deal between the Players Association and the league to work together in order to make these statements, which raises the fair question, what's being traded here? Like, are players giving up their right to make individual statements in order to get the league behind them on this? How productive can the two of them be together? Because on one hand, it can be. On the other hand, if they're making trades to keep people quiet, we have a problem. And the NBA lurks behind something that's very interesting. On the national anthem, somehow the NFL is actually the more progressive league because the NBA has it specifically outlined that you have to stand during the national anthem. That's how Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf wound up getting suspended in 1996. So what the league is trying to do is like, how do you keep this as quiet as possible, knowing that you can't shut your players up, so try to work with them. The question is, are they ultimately just going to be shutting them up?
But that edict right there, the fact that they have a rule that you have to stand from David Stern's regime, Adam Silver's a different commissioner, and I think you're going to see the rule that you have to stand. I think that's going to vanish.
Did you see the Indiana Fever kneel last night?
That's right. The whole team kneeled during the national anthem. Once again, drawing attention to the fact white women seem to find ways to show solidarity with this cause. Right or wrong, there hadn't been a white dude to do anything like this.
But this is why I brought up the Stan Van Gundy Thibodeau thing. What do you do if your entire team wants to do that? You're the president of the organization and the coach. You're the guy in power making millions off the back of these guys. Are you going to stand next to them or are you going to sit? Which one are you going to do? When is a Steve Kerr going to rise up and instead of saying something, actually do something like that?
Is Kevin Durant right that fans do not care about him as a person?
There's a television program called Any Given Wednesday you can check out on HBO. There's an interview with Kevin Durant and Nas. You can watch the whole thing at HBO now. Check this out. Kevin Durant feeling like y'all don't love him.
Nobody cares about what I want as a person. It's all about what I could do on a basketball court. They don't care if I like going fishing on Tuesdays or like taking pictures on the street. Like, nobody cares as long as I can shoot that ball into the hoop. Yeah, why should I care what they think if they don't really care about me as a whole?
I mean, he's right. People really do only care about him by and large as far as his basketball talents are going to take him. He seems to be remarkably at ease with this fact, though, but it got me thinking, this generation of players, that naivete seems to get shaken off a lot earlier for them now. Like those romantic relationships where we pretend the fans love guys and they love them back. I don't know how that's going to go for the superstar class of the coming generation because they know enough about how people feel to know that that was some hooey.
You do need to learn that, though, because that does get knocked out of you. You may come into the league expecting unconditional love. You may think that those fans really do love you, and then you realize you only love for as much feel good as you provide your audience. The customers only care as much as you make them feel good. So Oklahoma City used to love Kevin Durant, it felt like, and then he left, and what happened behind him didn't feel a whole lot like love.
And now they love Russell Westbrook even more, even though he hasn't done anything different, right? Now they just love him more. Why? Because Kevin Durant left.
Well, I care about Kevin Durant. I mean, as a person, I mean, he seems like somebody very thoughtful, somebody very honest, somebody who doesn't have any rings, you know. Yeah, I mean.
Okay, yeah, I mean, all those things are true. They are true. That's mean.
Do you question Chris Bosh returning to play for the Miami Heat?
Ooh, this one is tricky. Even if he signs waivers, even if he says he's willing to take full liability, does a team want a catastrophic event on video in its uniform? So I don't know, because people say after the second recurrence of blood clots, you've got a bad potential situation, but he feels fine. And I don't know, I don't have the medical or scientific background to know whether or not I would actually be able to go through with having the possibility of that on my resume. What I will say that's fascinating about this to me, though, most fascinating, is we are not that far removed from all of these guys talking about not one, not two, not three, not four. LeBron James is gone. He left too early. Dwayne Wade is gone. He went against his will, and now they've got a problem with Chris. This thing fell apart pretty big.
Well, there's another pragmatic concern from the Heat, though, which is even if Chris Bosh is able to play on the first game of the season, if he can't play for the 35th, they can't get any real relief on salary cap and in terms of paying off this money. And what's happened the last 2 years, Chris Bosh has come out to play for a little bit and then wound up out of there, and the Heat wind up on the hook for all of that. So if you're Chris Bosh, you're skeptical as to whether or not they're concerned with the money. If you're the Heat, we really don't want you to die in our uniform on television. I can understand where everybody's coming from.
How should Joanna Cespedes feel about what Ender Inciarte did to him?
All right, Cespedes thought he had a home run here. That's what everybody tells me. I haven't actually watched this. Check it out.
Look at this game ender. Walk-off. He thought he had a walk-off here.
Yeah.
Down one.
Oh,
Ouch.
look at the Braves just messing it up for the Mets because it's not like they going anywhere but to Cobb County.
Look at that, though. You had the Braves sweeping the Mets on that. That had to feel really good for Cespedes for the 1 second, the 2 seconds, the 3 seconds that was in the air. And then I can't imagine a better feeling than the one that the Braves center fielder had, unless he did it for a team that was actually good.
Man, I just feel bad for those New Yorkers. You know, they're in the middle of a wild card race, and all of a sudden they lose like that. I was only kidding.
I mean, you have to admit, unhappy Mets fans do make the rest of us, it makes our lives a little better.
You lost to the Braves. They suck.
Yeah, that is what happened.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
Hey, maybe he'll lose a little bit if he hits. That's
Yeah,
kid
maybe
has
if
a
you jack him in the
taser.
stomach, he'll lose the belly. You never know.
yeah.
Is Lenny just going to take a taser without any kind of reaction?
Time to play the game that is the peanut butter to your mother's jelly. Do you question?
Your mother.
No, maybe your mother. You don't know what he was talking about.
It's a weak question.
Might be your mom.
Not mine.
Do you question if Joey Bats should get plunked for this?
All right, Jose Bautista, top of the ninth, down by 1.
Diaz deals. Fly ball deep to left. Big time trouble.
I mean, that's worse than the other one, isn't it? I mean, honestly, that's worse than the one that he got into with the Rangers.
Well,
about.
considering that this is just a regular game, and good God, why are there all these Blue Jays fans in Seattle?
That had to feel pretty good how far he hit it, the game situation. He's been having a really bad year at a time that he wants his money. Let the man feel good for a little while.
He's going to get sweet chin music the next time they see him.
This is what the Mariners, they have to do. Don't throw at him. Try for a doer. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. That is
Got
what you
him.
have to do.
Got
Yeah,
him.
there you go.
Ooh, that's slow motion, made for moments like these.
We're past the trade deadline, but you make that trade just for, just to have Odor. They don't even play again. Just to have Odor, go to the bus.
By the way, you know how much worse that whole thing could have been if Bautista had accidentally hit Beltre's head?
Oh, yeah, it could have been worse.
Do you question if the viewers should have been more excited by this play?
We go out to Texas high school football. It's a crazy play. It's a great play. People watching it on television, they are not as enthusiastic about this as you're about to be.
Let's see here.
This is,
That's north H-Town. That's the north side right there.
oh, look at that first guy.
Oh, yeah. You see Buddy at the front pretending as though he got hurt. It's the right idea, though, because these other guys should have thought about that, too.
I mean, I give this guy a scholarship based on just this
Ultimate.
run. Yeah.
Wow.
The original question stands. What were those people doing? Eating finger sandwiches? They had their backs to the television, right? They weren't actually watching that.
And why is that in a broadcastable form?
Do you question whether Lenny has done something impressive?
Guys named Lenny don't do impressive things.
Is it a guy or an animal? Do you know? Are you for sure?
Just saying.
Who knows?
Lenny, the challenge for you is to try to remain standing.
Oh,
Don't go
really,
down.
Bomani? Oh, really, Bomani? You take this up with Lenny, why don't you, Bomani?
You have to hold it
I don't
steady.
interact with people named Lenny.
Hey, maybe he'll lose a little bit if he hits. That's
Yeah,
kid
maybe
has
if
a
you jack him in the
taser.
stomach, he'll lose the belly. You never know.
yeah.
Is Lenny just going to take a taser without any kind of reaction?
Why are you allowing your child to do this?
He took it.
That was
Holy
I see you cookie cutter drug addicts go down.
Yo!
I have so many questions. One of them being, what is Lenny? Like,
I'd like to start by saying how impressive I find Lenny to be. Right? I mean, like, at first it was this whole thing. I think we had some kind of misunderstanding. And then I saw Lenny take a taser. And
all right.
Well, I mean, finally he found a good use for his belly, you know. I mean,
Right.
that's it. He put it to use, you know.
Yeah.
He can make a lot of money on that with that trick.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to re-ask my question again. What is Lenny?
I've been Steph Curry with the shot, been cooking with the sauce, Chef Curry with the pot, boy, 360 with the wrist, boy. Who the hell them people is, boy? Oh, man, we're really with the heat, boy. Yeah, really with this heat, I should probably sign to Hit Boys because I got all the hits, boy.
On ESPN2, the World Cup of Hockey, the Czech Republic and USA.
No, thank you. I jumped the gun there, but I'm not interested in this. These games are meaningless for the United States. My father did the whole patriotism thing. Tortorella threatened people if they didn't do the anthem thing, if we didn't do patriotism together, and now they've been eliminated and they're playing meaningless games. But let's go out to a different game, the ending of a different game before this one.
A minute to go, 3-on-3. McKinnon's alone. Lundqvist.
Ooh, that's a lonely feeling.
McKinnon scores.
What happened there? How does he get?
Hey.
Where is everybody? Where's the help? How? I mean, what? How did he get the puck there with nobody around him? It's a lonely feeling for that keeper. How did that happen? I don't understand. Bomani, are you intrigued?
No, not intrigued. And I'd like to note that the World Cup of Hockey is really stretching the definition of world. We ain't even got 8 countries to compete in this. This is just the cold weather cup. That's it. The world is not participating.
Boppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. Listen, this game it's not meaningless to me. You know, I'm telling you something. I'm going to put some money on this game. Ring, 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 ring. Hey, Juanito, yeah, the Czech Republic against the United States. You know, the Czech Republic stinks, so you put everything we got on. Yeah, everything I got on the USA. Yeah, don't worry about it. USA, 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 USA. USA, USA, USA. Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah.
I can't dial it up like that for hockey in September.
I mean, he hung up on his bookie, but he kept chanting. The patriotism echoes long before the gambling degeneracy.
On ESPN, number 5, Clemson and Georgia Tech.
Sure, I'll partake in some of this, but let's go back to Clemson's last game. They won 59-0 or something. Here's how that happens when you're playing South Carolina State. You're up 14-0 first quarter. South Carolina State doesn't know the rules. That is a live ball. Referee was going to grab it, but then decided against it. And there you go. That's a bad feeling right there. Yeah, that's a terrible feeling. Toss the ball to the referee. Live ball, then try and jump on it as you're pounced on by 7 orange people. Bomani, are you intrigued?
Yeah, so how many games are we going to give it before we start legitimately entertaining the possibility that Clemson just might not be that good this year?
Yeah, well, this wouldn't be the one. The one that we just watched was not the one to make that assessment on. Boppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued because I'm telling you something. This is going to be a trap game for it's going to be a trap game for Clemson, you know, because they have lost the last 5 games that they have played at Georgia Tech, and the Yellow Jackets, they're tough, you know. They're going to set the record straight. They're going to keep on winning in Georgia Tech, buddy. And I'm telling you, and Clemson is looking too far ahead, you know, looking at Louisville. You're worried about Louisville. You got to worry about the Yellow Jackets first.
Wow, that was some serious analysis. Look, he was impressed by himself. He just did a wow at himself.
Is he finished?
I'm a college football expert.
Is he finished?
With a Heisman vote.
Oh,
now you know why I got a Heisman vote.
Oh, wow. Now he's finished. He wasn't finished before. Now he's finished.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
See you tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.
Gracias. See you mañana.